Radio Pulpit, 657 AM, your daily companion.
And a very good afternoon to you if you have just been locked in into Radio Pulpit. I did say, if you have a keen interest on marriage, if you're married, if you feel like, I'm not too sure where this is going, and look, I don't know if there's a future in this, trust me, there is hope. Because this afternoon in studio, I am joined by Dr. Marilyn Saunders. And I had the privilege of just having a chat with her off air, and I feel like she's going to sound like a broken cassette for herself because she's about to repeat a lot of our conversations on air. Now, Dr. Marilyn is actually an author of a book titled Build to Last, a marriage blueprint that is. And Build to Last is culturally grounded, psychologically informed guide to restoring and strengthening modern marriages. Written by Dr. Marilyn Saunders herself, like I said, a seasoned psychologist, a relationship strategist, and a marriage counselor with nearly 2 decades of professional experience and over 40 years of personal marital wisdom. Now, this book offers couples a structured, practical approach to navigating the complexities of love, conflict, commitment, and healing. And I don't want to go on and on and on because I don't want to take the words out of her mouth, and I want us to get a feel of who she really is. So, Dr. Marilyn, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Luco, and thank you so much for inviting me. And I feel privileged.
I'm really excited to have you in, I must say. We are living in a time and in a generation where marriage seems like just an idea.
Yes.
You know, a time where I don't think it's as sacred as it used to be. You know, when we grew up, we knew it was quite a sacred institution as well, one to be honored by both those who enter it.
Absolutely. And supposed to be such a safe place.
Exactly.
A place of love, reassurance, understanding, and knowing that someone's got your back.
True.
And that was God's intention.
From the very
beginning. His love for us is that the husband needs to love the wife as Christ died for the church. That's love.
That's selfless love.
That's selfless love. And really to accept your wife unconditionally.
Yeah.
Jesus accepts us unconditionally.
True.
So if we marry someone, be careful that you can marry her unconditionally with flaws.
True.
With flaws.
True.
And a lot of conflict happens because of the modern couple, the modern marriage. 20, 30 years ago, in my time, it was easy, traditional. This is what the woman does. This is a job. This is a role. She stays at home. She keeps the kids happy. And the husband's happy, clean, and she does everything concerning family and home. But today, women have to go out and work because of the standard of living and what society is expecting from couples.
And so there are a lot of adjustments, I can imagine, that need to happen from both parties.
And the wife has to, now with the BEEE, obviously, so she's in management and she's an exec. And she comes home and she has to take responsibility for all those things that the traditional wife was.
And she's suddenly not the boss that she is in the corporate space.
In the corporate space. And I think that the understanding that, so where the conflict happens is that the expectations are not met. So usually the man will be traditional, but he doesn't tell his wife. Often I would see couples married for 5 or 6 years, and I would tell the wife, are you listening to him? He's a traditional man.
Yeah.
No, he's not traditional. I said, listen to just what he said now.
That depicts a traditional man.
He's a traditional man.
Sure.
And you are a modern woman. And that is where the conflict is happening. And so before you even restore your marriage or build your marriage, it's important to define your marriage.
Oh, what type of it?
What type of marriage? Is it cultural? Is it modern? Then the other would also be, and that's my part one for preparation. Do you want me to get into the book first?
Let's start with you. I want you first. I want to understand you. And I always say, I remember at my wedding, my pastor's quite tiny in body, and he starts the wedding off. And obviously, I come from a traditional background. My parents are quite rural and family. They're looking at him, and I think he kind of sensed the room, and he made mention of the fact that he had been married for 17 years. He says, "Don't look at this tiny young boy standing in front of you. I've been married for 17 years, and what I've learned," and I kid you not, Dr. Marilyn, that commanded a certain sense of respect immediately. You could now suddenly see people more receptive as well.
So I want to start by saying, in Matthew it says, "A household divided against itself will not stand." And the other one is, "Unless the Lord builds the house,
those that build it,
builder labors in vain." And that is why my book is symbolic of a house.
I saw that house structure thing on the book. I was like, what is this about?
Yes, it's symbolic of a house. And it's a blueprint, and it's your own architectural blueprint, because look, your marriage is going to be different to mine.
Exactly.
No, you come from a different background, different city, different culture, different religion.
Yep.
And so your architecture is going to be different than mine. And we as couples need to understand we can't mimic other couples.
Exactly.
We're going to get...
No matter how their picture looks.
Yes.
It's not going to be the same. We're never going to... I can't direct my husband to Dr. Marilyn's marriage and say, hey, look at how they're living. It's not going to be the same.
You have to have your own architectural blueprint. And we'll take you right through to the end of the book. And then there is a workbook. Okay. So you as a couple will work through the whole part of the house. And I'll explain the house to you now.
Okay.
So instead of saying, we've got, you have no empathy, you are heartless, you can say, babe, I think cementing the house is what we still need to work on. Because cementing the marriage is about empathy. I'll get there. You see, so you can know which part of your marriage you still need to work on. And it's a continuous thing. You go back and you go back and you work on it. So just to start, I'm going to give, because, we don't have much time yet, because you need to be out by 6.
Yes.
So the first part of the house is preparation to build.
Foundation, basically.
Or restore. So it's not even the foundation.
Oh.
It's
the
defining. Defining your marriage. So it's either religious, individualistic, or collectivistic.
Right.
So religious is obviously both couples. Both couples together are Christians, and that the Bible and what the Bible says is key to them in their marriage. That's
our book of rules.
That's our solution, right? Then you get a different couple where you'll find one is individualistic and one is collectivistic. So individualistic is like a single person. I am married, but I'm single. I'm acting single. I'm with my guys on a Friday. But then I sleep late on a Saturday, and then I go and wash the car in the afternoon. I don't spend time with my family. I'm single. Oh, do whatever you need to do with the kids.
Just married in the books.
Yeah, and pay what you need to pay. What do you need from me? Oh, you need 5,000. Okay, there's the 5,000. Just do what you need to do. No time for the wife and no time
to service the marriage.
For the family. That's individualistic. So my father was individualistic. My mom was collectivistic.
Okay.
So collectivistic means we sacrifice for the greater good of the family.
Okay.
That is what culture does as well.
Yeah.
Culture is one person needs to sacrifice for the greater good of the family. So collectivistic is, you find most often, and please guys don't say that I am gender biased, please. So I would say female, but most commonly it is females that's collectivistic, because they have to take care of everything and the job and make sure there's money for the school fees. And some men, not all men, Christian men are not, right?
Yes.
Individualistic is we are in a marriage, but we're not a couple.
Sure.
The family thinks we're married. It's on paper. But he's single. He does his thing. He doesn't listen to her. He doesn't want to get her opinion. this is what I say. So it also, the individualistic also blends into the traditional. The traditional way some people feel that the head of the home has the last say. But what does helpmeet means? It means let us discuss. It's not I'm the head of the home and I'm going to tell you what to do. It's let us discuss what is in the best interest of the family. My child has a learning disability. We cannot place him or her in a private school. It's going to harm the child academically because the standard is very high in a private school.
Yeah.
So let's take the child maybe to a moderate semi-private school, but not a private school where all these assignments have to be done. I mean, when I worked with kids before, the child was in grade 1. I said, why don't you want to go to school? Too much homework. I'm telling you. Grade 1. Too much homework. I don't play.
And the child needs to play at some point.
Yes, I don't work with children anymore. It's not couple therapy. Yes. Yes. And so children need to develop in play. I'm not going to talk about children anymore, but yeah. That is what the wife and the husband will make decisions on, not what he does on his own. So that is the defining of your relationship. And then the next will be your roles. Obviously, we'll know whether it's traditional roles, whether, some men likes cooking these days. They like, before it was the women's role. And I think a lot more women want men to help in the house. And it's very tough when you're a traditional man. And that needs to be defined even before you get married.
Yes.
So the book is even good for single couples that needs to know about marriage. You don't have to date to read the book because
it's going to help.
You get your license. You get your car's license, right? Driver's
before you
license,
get the car.
and you don't even have a car. So read a book and find out about marriage and see if you are dating. Is this person ready for marriage? Will this person be able to communicate in the way that the book is describing? If you are so self-centered, then you're not ready.
And it's going to help you to look forth.
Yes.
So that you don't get in blindly.
Yes. If it's all about me, and we'll tell you how to communicate. And if you're not getting that correct, you know the person's not ready.
Yep.
Because conflict causes exhaustion.
Okay.
And then they separate. It's just too exhausting.
True.
And it can lead to even depression. Conflict every day is very tiring in couples. And a lot of them are leaving and separating because they cannot handle the conflict and they need a safe place and a quiet place.
Yeah. They need a sense of peace.
It's not a safe place to go to.
Yeah.
That's part 1. Part 2 is the foundation. And obviously spirituality is the key. Right? If the Lord doesn't build your house,
you're building in vain.
You're building in vain. Right? That's one of it. And then I've also added the psychological part. So the whole book is not spiritual. It's the part that's needed is the foundation. There you'll find some things that I'm talking about under the foundation. Here and there you'll have some Christian and cultural, because I worked 10 years in a township, so there'll be some cultural exercises on how important culture is in a marriage.
So this book is pretty much like getting yourself a session and working through it, getting a guide and discovering where are we within this.
So yes, the foundation is the spiritual side, and I've also got the cognitive side, because if your beliefs, your thoughts affect your emotions and behavior. If I believe marriages don't last, but we get married, isn't it?
Yeah.
In my marriage, unconsciously, I am going to look for problems to prove marriage don't work. I will have irrational beliefs. So even I might have the most faithful husband, but if I believe all men have affairs, I'm going to accuse him why he's late 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it exhausts the guy. And then he's so exhausted of all the accusations that he decides, I'm going to leave. Gotcha! I knew in her mind, happy, I knew marriages don't last.
Yeah, because that's not the attitude
not realizing you have shot yourself in the foot by continuously looking, and your irrational beliefs about men are unfaithful, all men are unfaithful. And so that is also, so we also do help how to reframe your irrational beliefs about marriage and to minimize conflict. Because that creates conflict.
Yeah.
So I have to rush now.
Yeah.
I've got a few minutes
Yeah,
left.
we got about 5 minutes.
Hey, you're joking. Part 3 is cementing the relationship. And so it's about respect, empathy, vulnerability. Men always complain. The first thing men complain with if they go to sessions is no respect. Guys, I just want to share with you.
What is that
if
about?
you have harmed your wife, if she's wounded and if you haven't sorted or assisted with the healing of her wounds, she won't show respect. She's not able to show love because you've wounded her. And this daily criticizing, nobody knows that. Daily criticizing a woman, you're wounding her daily. And she's not good. She's going to just make yourself your own coffee. But I asked you so beautifully, my darling. I said, just make this pain and trauma, if it's not dealt with, disrespect. It comes across as disrespect. Let's say she's not disrespectful, but she comes across disrespectful. Okay, so empathy, I think a lot of people know about empathy and vulnerability, how important vulnerability is. When I show you my secret, my best friend then be closer. Isn't it?
Yeah.
She's got my secret and I've got her secret. So vulnerability is important. And I remember that was such an important vulnerability, was such an important issue when we did the workshop with couples. They were married for 20 years and the woman, he was sharing his childhood, like I shared it today. And she didn't know that he went through he had such a hard childhood.
Because he had never opened up about that.
And I obviously debriefed them lunchtime as a psychologist, and I phoned late in the day. She said, Madam, we have never been as close as we are today for the 20 years.
And that's built by that moment of vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
Imagine 20 years later.
20 years later. Then part 4. Repair the cracks in the walls of your house. I said cementing the wall foundation, cementing the wall, the cracks in the wall, repairing the cracks of your walls. Remember those metaphorical expressions, driving me up the wall. Walls have ears. Talking to a brick wall.
Yes.
Our backs against wall.
Yes.
Conflict and communication. So this is about communication. There are 2 techniques that I share. The one is emotion focused. When your wife wants, sometimes husbands want to solve problems. Ask her, is this emotional support, or is it a problem solving issue? If it's emotional support, she'll get a speaker listener. I have developed a communication technique called the coffee time technique. And it has 6 principles. And at the last 6th one, you are able to find a resolution. When you go it step by step, you won't have conflict. It avoids conflict completely. Because you start off first with a compliment.
Is it included in the book?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the coffee time, you start off with a compliment. Because I know I'm upset about you. You came home 12 o'clock last night, but there's something good about him. And you compliment that before you start.
Just to look out for
with your complaint. That already lowers the conflict. That makes you a little bit more open.
And let's be realistic. Men love their ego stroked as well. You've just given him that, moment of him feeling good about himself.
Absolutely. That's part 4. And I'm just mentioning small points, okay? It's not the full book. Part 5 is obviously the windows. Cleaning your windows. And the windows, when you look through it, it's your vision.
Yeah.
Building a vision of your family. How to form a vision. How to stick to the vision. And then remember, you can't have a vision board without a financial vision.
Yeah.
So lots of people have these unrealistic visions, but they're not managing their finances.
And we're not going to have the conversation.
And they're not in line with their finances. They're not on the same page. He likes spending, or she likes spending immediately all the money she wants to save. And that's the no, let's have fun. No, I want to move out of this apartment. I want a house. Yes, we can always get a house. I want to go on holiday to Mauritius. And that's that conflict, continuous conflict. I want to spend my money on friends. Now I want to save. And so you never ever reach your vision. And a couple that works on their goals, their short-term and long-term goals, they promote teamwork and longevity.
Yeah.
Because you have 2 years. You have 3 years. You have 5 years. And you have your goals. And when you get to 5 years, you start again. And that's how you create longevity. And you work together as a team.
Sure.
as a family, and also your individual goals. So you don't just have couple goals, but he must be able to help her with her individual goals. That God has purpose for her, and and she needs to help him.
Sure.
And sit back when you need to let someone else grow. Don't just you want to grow and grow and grow. Sit back and allow the next one to grow, then you stop, and then you grow. And that is how
must be interchangeable.
You work, interchangeable. And that's how you work on your vision together. Right? Varnishing the doors. Now we're at the doors of the house.
Yes.
And then obviously it's how we examine our external negativity affects personal and marital well-being. A lot of the marriages can talk about that. External family, friends, his friends, that's, negatively influencing him. Siblings, her friends. And then also the importance of establishing healthy boundaries without harming others.
Yeah.
Just how to establish your boundaries. Part 7 is tiling the stairs.
Okay.
Tiling the stairs. You have the 4 stages of intimacy. There's a lack of intimacy in the marriage, and then you have the 5 stages of marriage.
Oh.
So you can gauge which stage of intimacy are we at, and gauge in your marriage. The stages of love. Do you mind me reading something quickly out of the book?
Not a problem.
So, the stages of love, you have obviously your infatuation, and love, and then the second stage is becoming a couple, right? Okay, so now we're a couple and we're having a child. Some people's marriage is after a child changes. Some is positive. Some say, we're now more closer, and some marriages
drift further apart
after a baby. So these are the different stages, and they're interchangeable, and they're not cast in stone. But the one that stood out for me was the stage of disillusionment. That is when everybody gets divorced. That's because now you think that it's the end of our marriage. It's actually the stage 3. Then there's a stage 4, right? And let me just, and the stage 4 talks about building your love, your real love and life together. And then as a couple, your power of 2 changing the world. So you pass disillusionment, and most couples are stuck here. So I'm going to try and read quickly.
Okay.
Disillusionment.
Go ahead.
So, step 3 is disillusionment. The 3rd stage is often a shocking and painful reality check for couples. Many marriages fail during this stage because couples assume the relationship is doomed, when in fact the stage is a natural part of the process. This is a period of emotional disconnection where partners may feel like strangers to one another. Small annoyances grow into significant irritations, and both partners may feel unloved and uncared for. During disillusionment, couples often withdraw emotionally or physically. Some might bury themselves in work or family obligations to escape the discomfort, but dissatisfaction continues to build. This stage can manifest as frequent conflict, anger, and frustration, leaving both partners feeling trapped. While some couples might separate or divorce during this stage, others may merely exist together without intimacy or connection. Prolonged exposure to this stage can lead to physical, emotional illness such as depression, as partners grieve the loss of the love they once shared. The silver lining of this stage is that it allows couples to let go of their illusions and unrealistic expectations. It provides an opportunity to negotiate the realities of the relationship and uncover unresolved wounds from past experiences.
Sure.
And sometimes you can revisit the stage, until you get to the 4th stage. But yes, it is a very difficult stage. I've been through stage 3 many times.
Sure.
But knowing it's a stage.
Yeah.
And that is when you uncover this person. And I remember calling my mom and saying, Mom, why didn't you tell me he's such a terrible man? I married a terrible man. Why didn't you tell me? It is when you become disillusioned and you see the realities and you see his flaws.
Yeah.
But you don't focus on the strengths. That is when you focus on the strengths. the wounds comes, your childhood wounds comes, your stage, your wounds, the wounds he caused, all comes together in this stage.
Yeah.
And that's the time when you need to find your personal healing, couple healing, and push through.
Yeah. Sure.
Because children are also harmed.
In the process.
In the process. They are harmed. Even the adults, I say adults as well, and they will tell me about the harm divorces cause and the fighting and the conflict.
Sure.
And if we can use this architectural map, use the workbook and build your own architectural map, because the work guides you to your own unique blueprint.
Dr. Marilyn, I'm looking at the time. It's literally 6 o'clock.
I didn't cover the roof, but that's fine. They can read for part.
How do we get our hands on the book?
You can go to marilynsaunders.co.za and the book will be online. You can order.
Any social media pages and platforms?
It will be, that's the social media platform. And my other page will be connected to that. Once you've bought a workbook, then I'll do the online talks for 200 Rand.
Wow.
After the workbook.
Wow.
That's out of the book. So that you can then be guided further.
Wow. Dr. Marilyn, thank you so much. And God bless for doing the work of the Lord, because marriages are truly the work of the Lord. Ultimately, we model what we are to Christ, the bride of Christ. And so we need to depict marriage in a beautiful, light.
The way Christ purposed and wanted.
Wow. Thanks and God bless.
God bless. Thank you. Bye-bye, viewer. Bye, listeners.
Hear the word and renew your life on 657 AM.